Welcome to the February 9th, 2015 meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Kalfayan?
Yes.
Khan?
Here.
Sharkey?
Here.
Wu is absent. President Fuad?
Here.
The agenda for the February 9th, 2015 special meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, February 6, 2015. At item 2, we have upcoming council agenda items.
As President Fuad, members of the Commission, on February 10th, which is tomorrow, we have scheduled a joint City Council Housing Authority meeting to request approval of a resolution authorizing submission of a $600,000 grant application to the state of California for the housing-related grant program for the Palmer Park Improvement Project, which is currently in the final design phase. On March 3rd, we have for the City Council review and approval of Riverwalk Phase 2 design status and Phase 3 conceptual bridge design and location. Phase 2 will complete Riverwalk, which is the 1 mile stretch of the river that touches the Glendale city boundary, and Riverwalk Phase 2 will include 2 new park pockets, one at Flower and one at the confluence between the Vertigo Wash and the river, which is directly under the 134 freeway. Then Phase 3 is conceptual bridge designs, which will end with the bridge design itself until future funding is secured. Also on March 3rd is a proclamation declaring March 3rd as Arbor Day, and then another proclamation declaring March as March for Meals Month, and then a motion and action item, which will be a motion to award a contract for the HVAC replacement at the Civic Auditorium, in addition to other city facilities. And the Civic Auditorium project cost is approximately $600,000. And that's all we have on the docket for next month.
Thank you. Next.
Item 3, Commission staff comments.
Any comments, Commissioner Todd?
I would just like to wish our administrative assistant best wishes. She was married, 2 weeks ago? Iris?
Last Saturday. Yeah.
Last Saturday. And then just fresh back here. And are you going to keep your last name or have a new last name?
You'll be calling me Iris Moreno Hernandez soon. So.
Oh, all right. Well, very best wishes.
Yes, congratulations from all of us.
Thanks very much.
And also, I just wanted to announce that on May 3rd, our trail run and hike as a fundraiser for Glendale Parks and Open Space Foundation. As I mentioned, it's a fundraiser. To learn more about it, it's runtheverdugos.com. So, and that's it. And I'm seeing little cheers going on over there. Lots of hard work. I'm looking out there. So, thanks.
Anything else?
President Fuad, members of the Commission, I actually would like to go through our calendar of events between now and our next meeting. On Thursday, February 12th, from 5:30 to 8 p.m., Club Maple is having their Valentine's Day dance. On Friday, February 13th, from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m., there will be a Parents' Night Out at Pacific Community Center. On Saturday, February 14th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., we're going to have a classroom and field instruction for trail building and maintenance at the Glendale Sports Complex. Monday, February 16th, city offices are closed because of President's Day. On Tuesday, February 17th, 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., the seniors are going to be having a celebration for Fat Tuesday at the Adult Recreation Center and Spar Heights Community Center. This is for seniors ages 60 and up. On Saturday, February 21st, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be a wilderness work day at Tukmajan Wilderness Park. Friday, February 27th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., there's a CDBG Advisory Committee meeting and a second meeting on Monday, March 2nd, 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. On Tuesday, March 3rd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Arbor Day at Casa Adobe de San Rafael. Friday, March 13th through 14th, the GYA is having an art exhibit fundraiser entitled Ignite the Future at Glendale Forest Lawn. Monday, March 16th through Friday, March 20th, at PCC, we have Spring Break Cool Days Camp. That's Pacific Community Center. Monday, March 16th at 2:30 p.m., we're back here for our Parks, Recreation, Community Services Commission meeting.
Wow, that's a lot in just 1 month.
Yes, and if anybody has any questions, they can call our administration office at 818-548-2000.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on the events?
Well, thank you for doing that.
Next, please.
Next, we have item 4, introductions and presentations, at a presentation by the YWCA of Glendale.
Thank you, Commission, for inviting me to come to speak today on the YWCA of Glendale and give you a little update about what currently activities we're undertaking and sort of the state of our affairs. I did bring some handouts, which I think were distributed to you. My name is Michelle Roberts. I'm the Executive Director. I'm coming up on my 4th anniversary at the YWCA of Glendale on June 1st, and it has been a very fast 4 years have gone by. I can't believe it. The YWCA of Glendale has been in operation since 1926. We were initially formed by a group of dedicated women, and basically YWCAs had been springing up all over the country since the mid-1850s. It is an international movement, and we are proud to be part of the largest international women's organization. We've been in continuous operation in Glendale since 1926. We were actually incorporated in 1930. And during the Depression years, primarily what the YWCA did was offered more emergency relief type services. There were free meals. We had a tea room and a lunch room, and they offered emergency housing to women and girls in need. With support from many wonderful people in this community, we were able to purchase property in the 30s, and in 1939, as a gift, we were able to obtain the property that we still continuously have been located at 735 East Lexington Drive. We undertook a capital campaign at that point and built the older part of our building, which was dedicated in March of 1940. Originally, it was built to house single women in need of rooms, and those rooms were in continuous occupation until 1969. At that point, those rooms were no longer used as residences, but they were converted into the offices, and they are currently the offices that we occupy, our staff, today. In fact, it's interesting, if you ever come and visit us, we still have the old plumbing and from when they were rooms and had sinks, and they have medicine cabinets. I have a medicine cabinet in my office. So we didn't fully, remodel the facility. Our programming over the years has sort of changed, trying to meet the needs of the community. All YWCAs, like many organizations, we're a local private nonprofit, so we're governed by a local board of directors, and our programs and services are all designed to meet the needs of this community. YWCAs across the country may have different programming, so they may look different depending on what the needs of those communities are. In the late 1940s, we added a gym building, and in 1956, the newest part of our building was built, which is the pool building. So we now occupy the entire block on Lexington between Geneva and Everett. The programming changed over the years. In the 1970s, we added a women's career development center to help displaced women find new career opportunities, and expanded to women seeking new careers. That was funded by CETA funds and many partners in our community. In 1979, we added what is now our primary program, which is our domestic violence program. We have a shelter for battered women and their children. It's confidentially located in Glendale. We try to maintain the confidential location for the safety of the residents that are staying there, as well as staff and volunteers. We offer services to people outside of shelter, non-residential services. In fact, in the course of a year, we probably serve around 300 families at our service center in Lexington with services such as counseling, case management, groups, educational groups and therapy support groups, as well as legal services. We now are proud to say we have 2 full-time attorneys on staff just in that program, as well as a cadre of case managers and therapist counselors. In recent years, we established some new programming priorities, primarily our Focus on Female Veterans initiative, which we've been working on the last about 2 years. and it's been overwhelmingly supported by the community. We're fortunate that we have many great partnerships. We are part of the Glendale Veterans Coalition, or the Veterans Coalition of Glendale and the Verdugos. It's actually grown from just what was initiated in Glendale 2 years ago to now having participants from some of our surrounding cities. We're a key participant in that. Our focus is primarily on female veterans and military families. We are very fortunate that we have a partnership with the Verdugo Job Center through a California Workforce Investment Board grant to assist unemployed or underemployed female veterans. And we are initiating a new undertaking with a partnership with Wellness Works to work on healing trauma, military trauma, and that was funded through Dignity Health Foundation. So we don't do this alone. We have, as I said, we have many supporters, partners, and collaborators in the community, including the city. We work very closely with city staff on many projects and opportunities. I'm pleased and honored to sit on the Continuum of Care Board for the homeless services in the city of Glendale. And then we continue to advocate. We're very involved in advocacy efforts on a local, statewide, and national level for issues that affect female military women and families, as well as victims of violence against women, domestic violence, sexual assault, and other or child abuse issues. I handed out just a little stat sheet there so you can have just an idea of some of the things we do. Last year, we received over 1,500 calls on our domestic violence hotline. We provided counseling to 263 individuals, those are adults. We had 109 clients received legal assistance. We had 51 victims referred directly from local law enforcement, and I have to say one of our most important partnerships and collaboratives is with the Glendale Police Department. We see each other as partners in combating the abuse that's taking place in our community. We also received 65 victims from referrals through local hospitals and medical providers. So last year, we call our shelter Sunrise Village Crisis Shelter. We provided 2,585 bed nights of shelter, so that's one bed night per person, to 50 women, 1 man, and 46 children. I have to do the caveat is the 1 man was a 19-year-old son of one of the adult women who was still a dependent. All of our services are free. All of our services are available in English, Spanish, and Armenian, and I made a note of our 24-hour hotline, which is 888-999-7511. A live person is available 24/7 to talk to anyone who has questions or concerns or is seeking services regarding domestic abuse. So I'd be happy to take questions, or do my best to answer questions or offer any other supplemental information if there's any.
Thank you.
No, I had no idea. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Right.
We kind of think we are a best-kept secret in Glendale, so we're working on that to spread the word, which is why I appreciate opportunities like this just to come and spread the word. Yeah.
It looks to me like you have shifted to what the community really needs,
Yes.
and start doing what really this community needs. And if we can do anything for you with Park and Recreation as a partners with you to help you.
I appreciate that very much. We are trying to be responsive to the needs of the community. So most YWCAs, we've shifted from the days when we were thought of as, the pool and the gym and those kinds of recreational activities to really being a social service, community service organization. So we're happy to do what we can.
I had a question, comment. You say that YWCAs are all they're independently driven? So nothing comes from a national...
We are a member of the national organization, and we certainly pay dues to the national organization, but each YWCA is what we call a local association. We're a private, nonprofit, 501c3 organization. We have a board of directors that governs the Glendale YWCA.
So all funding is local as well?
Yes, we don't get funded from our national office. So we have a combination for a domestic violence program. We have a combination of local, either private foundations, fundraising efforts, as well as We have County of LA contracts and grants. We have a state grant, and the state grant also has some federal money attached to it that's passed through. So it's a combination of funding. And then a lot of private support. Our local foundations and organizations have been very, very supportive of us. So.
Just one other thing. You say domestic violence is your primary program?
It's our primary program. It's about 80% of our budget, about 80% of what we do. So our Focus on Female Veterans initiative is a newer initiative. We have a very small amount of funding, but we're really, we're trying to take that program to the next step as well.
We rent our facilities to other organizations?
We do. We have a large 44,000 square foot facility on Lexington. We're right across from Whole Foods. We have a ballroom that we rent out frequently for other people's use. We have a gym that we'll rent out when it's not being used, and we actually do rent our pool out sometimes as well. We have some smaller meeting rooms and classrooms that can be available to as well. And all that information should be on our website, which is Glendale YWCA.
Well, thank you very much. Very informative.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Item 5, oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The director may refer the matter to the proper section for investigation and report.
I have one card from Bill Weissman.
Good afternoon, commissioners, city staff, and the public. My name is Bill Weissman, and I'm a member of Glendale Beautiful. And I'm here today to invite you to our Arbor Day celebration, which is going to be Tuesday, March 3rd, 10 a.m. to noon at the Casa Adobe de San Rafael, which is at 1330 Dorothy Drive in Glendale, one of Glendale's 2 historic adobes. The program will be from 10 to 10:30 and will feature guest speakers and speakers from the city. And if anyone wishes to donate a tree as part of this event, there is a tree donation form on the opposite side of the invitation I just handed out. It's also available on the city's website. And we need to have your check-in by February 24th if you want to donate a tree in honor of or in memory of someone or something. The trees are planted in the parks and other public space of Glendale. I know since my wife and I have been donating trees, we have trees in Dunsmore Park, we have trees in Duke-Magian, we have trees in Nibley Park, we have trees at the sports complex, and it's a really nice way to be able to not only help replace some of the trees that were damaged in recent windstorms, but to help augment our urban forest. And Glendale really does have a wonderful urban forest. We just I believe it was last year, celebrated our 30th year as a Tree City, USA. And so if anyone wants more information, they can get in touch with the president of Glendale Beautiful, Roberta Medford. Her email address is rmedford@ucla.edu, or you can call her at 818-248-8151. And we would certainly like to see anybody come down for this event. It's always a wonderful event, and there will be light refreshments served. And we look forward to hopefully to seeing some of you there. Thanks very much.
A quick question, Bill. When you donate a tree, do you get a plaque, or you just get the satisfaction of having the tree?
You actually are invited to a photo op when your tree is planted in the park. And so our urban forestry staff, Bill McKinley, usually handles this. And you will be sent an invitation, and they try to put the trees in parks that are close to where you live, if it's possible to do. And so when you get your invitation, you can come down, and there's usually a tag on the tree to say who it's in memory of or honor of. And it's really one of the best programs I think that the city is involved in. And I forget how many thousands of trees have been planted since we started, but it is a very large number, and we'd love to see you there. Thanks.
Thank you.
President Fuad, if I may answer that question. Bill, you're right. There was about 7,000 trees donated through the Arbor Day program to the city of Glendale.
I think
and
it's-
you will receive a certificate at the ceremony, Arbor Day ceremony, that highlights you as a donor and whomever in memory or honor that you are donating.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. And the certificates are very nice. They're very nicely done, it's suitable for framing and all of that. Thanks, Coco.
Sure.
Not made out of paper, of course.
It is paper, but we're planting the tree to supplement and build the paper. It's a cycle
You can
life.
visit your tree. I visit mine.
Okay, there's no plaque next to the species. Okay.
There are no plaques next to the species. No.
What's next, please?
Item 6, consent items at A, approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on December 15, 2014.
I will move it.
I'll second it.
Commissioners Klafayan,
Yes.
Khan,
Yes.
Sharkey,
Yes.
who is absent, President Fuad.
Yes. If that's it for consent items, what's next?
Item 7, business agenda A, action items. 1, motion to approve the gender equity policy and gender equity grievance procedures.
Good afternoon, President Fuad, members of the Commission. My name is Teresa Alexanian, Community Services Manager with the department. Before you today is a gender equity policy and grievance procedure. In September 2004, Governor Schwarzenegger signed into law AB 2404, a law that ensures that any city, county, or special district does not discriminate against any person on the basis of gender in the operation, conduct, or administration of community youth athletics programs or in the allocation of parks and recreation facilities and resources that support or enable these programs. AB 2404 went into effect January of 2005, with local government and special districts having to be in full effect, in full and effective compliance by January 1st of 2015. While this law clearly establishes the rule of existing law, it does not create any new liability for the city, and which is already prohibited from gender discrimination in conducting youth sports programs. Thus, the department recommends to adopt a policy and grievance procedure. The Department, Community Services and Parks, will offer gender equitable opportunities for girls and boys who participate in youth sports programs coordinated by the department and offered within city facilities. The meaning as part of the policy of gender equitable opportunities is defined as the absence of discrimination and unfavorable treatment of its citizens, promotion of gender equitable youth sports programs, and the commitment to ensure equitable support of CSP's facilities, fields, and other resources for girls and boys youth sports programs. The CSP's policy is to encourage the participation of girls and boys in youth sports programs, provide opportunities to youth in a variety of programs geared towards the interests of the community, ensure the programs offered to the youth are equitable by gender, ensure CSP is equitable in its distribution of resources like the facilities, the fields, the quality of the services for all participants in youth sports, ensure future development of facilities is equitable for all participants in youth sports programs, address an underrepresented gender and distribution of resources for youth sports programs by means that include but are not limited to giving a preference to the underrepresented gender in the distribution of resources, and ensure CSP is equitable in hiring coaches, instructors, mentors, and other role models as necessary for CSP to run youth sports programs. Currently, Community Services and Parks does not run any youth sports leagues. Youth sports organizations such as Little Leagues and AYSO use our fields to run such programs. CSP does have a policy which requires that approved youth groups not restrict membership by gender, religion, race, ethnic origin, social or economic status. The department does have a swim team and water polo teams, which are all co-ed. And CSP offers sports recreation classes such as basketball, tennis, soccer, which are offered and open to both boys and girls, so they're not limited by one gender. So the department's already doing what this law requires us to do. The grievance procedures basically established a process for investigating and addressing an issue should one come forth. And the department, as part of the grievance procedures, is offering 3 methods for filing a grievance. So the individual, if they feel that there's some type of gender inequity, can either can fill out the complaint form and can submit it to the community services supervisor or the community services manager overseeing the recreation section, who will then meet with the director and any other party within the city that may be necessary to address the situation. They may contact the community services and parks director, so they may contact a director and submit a form directly to the director, or they may address this commission during oral communications, and this commission can then either ask staff to further investigate or ask that it be agendized for a future meeting for further discussion, and can provide recommendation as necessary and provide direction to staff. The 2 exhibits that were attached to the report, Exhibit 1 and 2, are the policy and the grievance procedures, and the 3rd exhibit would be the complaint form that the department has created to be offered to the public. The individual or the organization that would like to file a complaint can also do it through a letter. They just need to make sure that the items that are asterisks on the form are included as part of the letter. So it doesn't have to be the form, but a letter, as long as it includes the information, would be sufficient. At this time, staff is seeking commission direction for approval of the policy and grievance procedures. We have Gabrielle Golia, the supervisor at the sports complex, and Onek Belanikian, the manager overseeing the recreation section, here for questions, should you have any.
Yeah. You mentioned that in your presentation that we also lease out the fields to other organizations. Mm-hmm. So in terms of this policy is for them as well to follow, or is it only for us, or how does that work?
The policy is for the department, but the department, as part of our approved community youth groups policy, we are already required that they not discriminate based on gender. But yes, we would, in relation to renting out the fields, we would also follow the same policy to ensure that we provide equal opportunity to those groups that are providing youth sports programs to boys or girls, or that they're equitable in their...
So in other words, if they come to rent out our fields, mm-hmm. they're going to follow these policies. Is that correct?
I'm not sure
I guess I'll give you an example. Let's say like AYSO comes and rents out the soccer field. Okay, they need to follow these policies as well, whatever their procedures are.
They won't be following the city's policy. However, our approved community youth group packet that they have to apply for and adhere to does require them to provide equal opportunity to both boys and girls. So that's kind of a sub-policy that's already in place. They wouldn't be asked to follow the city-specific policy, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if whether we rent the field out or they are renting the field out, we're all following the same policy.
Since we do the field reservations for all of the fields in Glendale, our policy will dictate how we rent out the field to these groups. So we will give priority to approved community youth groups who meet the gender equity portion of this, as well as a number of other standards that are set for them to receive that status. Any field time left over after the approved community youth groups are booked on it will then go to other groups who may or may not fall under the policy. It may be a boys-only baseball team, but they are not given any priority, and they will only get what's left over after the approved groups who meet these standards are given time.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So where do we go from here? Do we move to consent too? Or?
A motion to approve the policy and grievance procedures.
Okay, Okay, thank you. Do I hear any motions?
I can't read it.
Well, we don't supply reading glasses.
I know.
I'll make the motion. A motion to approve the gender equity policy and gender equity grievance procedures.
I will second it.
Commissioners Kalfayan,
Yes.
Khan,
Yes.
Sharkey, who is absent, President Fuad.
Yes. Thank you. What's next?
Next, we have item 7A2. It's a motion approving adding a pickleball court to the existing outdoor basketball court at Pacific Park and making it available for part-time use for pickleball participants.
Well, hooray.
Okay,
Go ahead.
yes. President Fuad, members of the commission. Back in November, Commissioner Kalfayan asked staff to research the possibility of having a pickleball court, an additional pickleball court at one of our facilities. So after meeting with Glendale Pickleball Group and our Glendale Pickleball Ambassador that we have, we went ahead and decided Pacific Park. So I got a few slides that I'd like to show before give you more information on the program itself. So pickleball was formalized in the mid-1960s. It's played like tennis with a small court and use of a wiffle ball and plastic wooden paddle. Games can be played with 2 players, singles, or 4 players, double. It's basically like a mini tennis game. There are 1,700 pickleball venues in North America, including 5,300 pickleball courts. After visiting a few tennis courts and outside basketball courts, staff's recommending to use the Pacific Park's multi-use court as a pickleball court. What we'll do is we can, this is our outdoor basketball court that we have at Pacific, and we can line and make actual 3 pickleball courts going north and south on the multi-purpose court. When we met with the Glendale Pickleball Group, they were okay with Pacific. And one good thing about Pacific is, too, that we have staff on site. So staff will go out there, put out the nets, provide them with the wiffle balls and rackets, and the participants can start playing. So what we're recommending is Mondays and Thursdays during the spring and summer season between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. for open drop and play. Anyone can come in that has an activity card and play pickleball. Monday through Thursday, year-round, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. for reserved drop and play. The reason why we're saying reserved is that they will call staff beforehand to the reserve so we can go ahead and set it up for them, depending on who's available and who's not, because a lot of people work between 9 a.m. and 12, but we have a small group that might want to come in on a Monday. They'll call the front desk staff, and we'll go out there and set up for them.
When you say 12 p.m., you mean noon?
Yes, noon, yes. Saturdays, year-round, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, open for drop-in play again. Staff will get out there a little before 9 a.m. and set up the net and basically check for activity cards. And like I mentioned before, every participant will need an activity card, and staff will be out there to set up the portable nets. Activity cards are $25 the entire year, ages 18 through 59, and 60 years and older is $10 per year. So charges are real minimal, and that'll help offset some of the equipment costs. Any questions?
Are you estimating any cost as far as lighting?
Lighting, no. We already have emergency lights. The reason why we're only offering pickleball Mondays and Thursdays between 5 and 8 for spring and summer months is because of daylight savings. So when it starts getting darker later, then we'll have some emergency lights on. But actual lighting, like a lit tennis court or a soccer field, Pacific doesn't have that type of a lighting.
Good.
But when we met with the Pickleball Ambassador, they were okay with the schedule. So
Why is it called pickleball? Honestly.
Back in 1960s, there was a gentleman named Pickle, I believe, and they wanted a low-intensity sport, a sport that had lower intensity than tennis and higher intensity than ping pong, so he came up with pickleball.
It was his name.
It was his name, yeah.
So thank goodness his name wasn't Cucumber or something.
I think the players will start as an appetizer with pickles all the time. So.
We're hoping so, to get some more energy. They can drink some water because of high sodium content and all that on pickles. With that being said, I know ARC has, we have pickleball once a week at nights, and we get 15 to 20 players. We have one court set up. So with 3 courts set up, the pickleball program will grow. The senior games in Pasadena, there's going to be a senior games pickleball tournament in May. So they're getting ready for that. So having this addition to Glendale, I know the pickleball community will be very excited.
Now, Commissioner Kaffian brought this up when? Did you?
November 17th meeting.
So I'm very impressed with the speed with which you've responded. I'm impressed.
Thank you. Couldn't have done it without Coco and Jess and my pickleball group that visit me on a weekly basis at ARC.
I see.
I think it's great. It's not as strenuous.
So we need a motion.
Yes, a motion approving adding the pickleball court. We're going to have True Line, one of the vendors that we have that we use. They're going to paint the lines. It's going to cost around $790. And then we're going to buy 3 nets at $250 a net. So the cost is real minimal. It'll be less than $2,500 to start the program.
And to be clear, the rest of the time it'll just be basketball there.
Yes, it'll be basketball. So the users will be sharing between basketball and pickleball.
Will you drill into the court?
No.
The nets to hold? How do you put the nets on?
They're going to be mobile. We set them up mobile. They're on wheels, and we'll just set them up and tie them down. So no drills to the floors. The only change, we're going to add some lines. Yeah. So the lines are either going to be gold or they want blue, but I'm trying to convince them to go to gold because gold and the green color will, they won't match.
Motion?
Let me make the motion and thank you to staff and on behalf of the pickleball community. My motion is to approve and adding a pickleball court to the existing outdoor basketball court at Pacific Park.
I'll second it.
Call?
Sorry, just to clarify, the motion also read to make it available for part-time use for pickleball participants, and just to make sure you want to include that as part of the motion.
That too.
It's pickleball participants.
The way that we have it written is motion approving adding a pickleball court to the existing outdoor basketball court at Pacific Park and making it available for part-time use.
Okay.
Pickleball participants. Okay, thank you. The next item is 783, resolution reducing the
Did we have to take roll call?
Oh, thank you. I apologize. Commissioners Kalfayan.
Yes.
Han.
Yes.
Sharkey.
Yes.
Wu is absent. President Fuad.
Yes. Next.
783 is resolution reducing the car registration fees for cruise night.
Thank you. President Fuan, members of the Commission. Back in August, during my 2014 Cruise Night Recap report, I had mentioned that the Cruise Night Committee that we have in the city suggested to reduce the car entry fees for Cruise Night 2015. The fees were raised after Cruise Night 2012 from $35 a car to $45 a car, and then after July 1st, $40 a car to $50 a car. And what we noticed in 2013, we had a reduction in car registration for both 2013 and 2014. 2014, we had a slight increase from 2013, but overall, from the past years, from 400 cars, it went down to 214 cars, and this last cruise night, it went back up to 250. So with that being said, staff is requesting to reduce the fees back to what it was originally in 2012 to $35 per vehicle for early registration and $40 per vehicle for late registration after July 1st. So we're hoping that we get an increase in car registration, which will once again offset our expenses for cruise night. As you are aware, cruise night has been fully funded the last 2 years with sponsorships and car registrations. So we hope that this year the entire event will be funded through, once again, sponsorships and car registrations. So we're hoping with the reduction in vehicle registration, we entice more customers and more people to sign their vehicle up, register their vehicle, so we can have a 350 vehicle car show.
Questions, comments?
Is that the ideal number? Like if we could choose a number of cars, it would be about 300 to 350?
Between 300 and 350. One thing that we've noticed that there are a lot of other car shows that are popping up everywhere in Southern California. Downtown Burbank, their car show is the week after ours. So a lot of people are going to the downtown Burbank one. So if we reduce the fees, it'll be competitive. Competitive with the other car shows. Plus, we're also, we had the fireworks last year, which brought a lot of people. So hopefully having different acts, different performers, and some more exciting things for cruise night, it will bring in more people.
Will we do the fireworks again this year?
I'm hoping so, yes. I'm working with the vendor for a program proposal.
Is it clear the increased fee was the cause of the reduction in cars? Did you talk to people?
Yeah, we called them last year. They said the number one reason why they don't want to enter was the fees, and the second is you guys are too big. It's a very successful event, and my vehicle is being touched by kids, strollers, and so on. So that's why they didn't want to register the vehicles. So what we did this year is, with the help of our police department, we went ahead and separated the vehicles. We gave 3 feet clearance per vehicle, so there would be more room for people to look at the vehicles and enjoy the vehicles. So that's what we did.
Theoretically, you could sell out if you run out of spaces.
That's our hope.
So what do we need to do in this respect? Resolve?
It would be approving a resolution reducing the registration fee, the car registration fee for cruise night.
I'm delighted we're doing this, lowering the fees. I reluctantly voted to raise them, having had a car there myself once, so I couldn't be happier with this, and I hope it works out. You've done a fantastic job with putting on cruise night.
Thank you.
If I had a pair of glasses, I'd make I forgot my glasses. So, did anybody else have anything that they wanted to say?
No. Your motion.
We're ready.
You can read.
Okay. A resolution reducing the car registration fees for cruise night.
Okay, I'll second it.
Commissioners Kalfayan?
Yes.
Khan?
Yes.
Sharkey?
Yes.
Who is absent? President Fuad.
Yes. What's next?
Thank you.
Next is item 7B, reports information only at 1, Mobile Recreation Program Annual Report.
Good afternoon, President Fuad, members of the Commission, and department staff. My name is Norma Maurer, Community Services Coordinator at Pacific Community Center. I would like to present the Mobile Recreation Program's annual report for 2014. The Mobile Recreation Program consists of 2 rental packages, the Party on the Go and the Glendale Rocks Mobile Climbing Wall. Party on the Go is a rental package where 2 recreation leaders are hired to provide games and crafts for birthday parties and special events. Glendale Rocks is our 26-foot mobile climbing wall. The standard rental package includes 2 trained, uniformed operators, the wall, and safety equipment for 2 hours. Additional hours can also be purchased. Both rental packages are available to the public and private organizations within the city limits for special events. Party on the Go package is designed for children ages 5 through 12 and can include arts and crafts, sports, games, and specific theme-based activities. The basic Party on the Go package includes 2 recreation leaders for 2 hours and 6 activities for up to 12 children. 2 rentals were booked for private events, a company for a softball tournament, and a birthday party. Of the 9 total events, 7 were city-sponsored, including Cesar Chavez event, Bring Your Child to Work Day, Cruise Night, Earth Day, Spring Extravaganza, the Brand Library Grand Reopening, and National Night Out. The Glendale Rocks Climbing Wall package is designed for all ages. Children and adults can take the challenge to reach the top to sound the horn. Glendale Rocks Climbing Wall adds adventure to any event. Glendale Rocks was rented 15 times in 2014. 4 rentals were booked for GUSD at a nonprofit rate. 11 were city-sponsored special events. The Glendale Rocks Climbing Wall was rented by the following clients: Glendale Unified School District, City Manager's Office, Glendale Police Department, Glendale Fire Department, and Glendale Public Library. The mobile recreation programs were found at some of the following events in 2014: Fire Service Day, Cruise Night, National Night Out, Canine in the Park, Earth Day, day camps, and many more. The Parks Make Life Better coloring book also continues to be distributed at our seasonal day camps and throughout our department marketing booth at special events. The coloring books serve as a fun business card for families to access CSP department programs information. We would like to make some recommendations for consideration. We would like to offer referral incentives to encourage current customers to spread the word. Research offering promotional deals through Groupon or Living Social, or create coupons that can only be accessed via social media. Add the mobile skate park to the mobile recreation program for rental purposes. Mention this ad to get a free gift in all of our marketing. Then at the end, give a gift to the guest of honor or client. Expansion to outside the city limit for big special events. Expand marketing to possibly include a web page for revenue-generating programs. Continue to work with the media team to promote the programs. But overall, the mobile recreation programs are a popular service to the community. If you're planning an event in 2015, please consider our programs. You can contact me at 818-548-3220, or you can email me at nmauer@glendaleca.gov. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Do we have any clowns with this party rentals?
Do we have any,
clowns?
Clowns, we do not, but we do offer face painting as an additional item that parents can purchase. We have an employee that is trained in face painting.
And the prices are affordable for families to rent it?
It's becoming a little bit more popular. We're really relying on word of mouth from the parents for the birthday parties. And usually the problem is it's the same price as $300 for standard pricing for the wall or the party package, and the wall usually wins out.
Do you have any accidents on the wall?
We have not.
No. Good.
The wall, the Glendale Rocks, that's the wall, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we had total rentals was 15.
Yes.
11 of which was non-revenue.
Yes.
And then the other 4 were for non-profit rate.
Yes.
So no one at a regular market rate rented the wall.
No, they are typically schools or churches, and they fall under the nonprofit rate, which is $225 for the first 2 hours.
Okay. I was wondering, and I was going to ask you that, in terms of not being a nonprofit, do you think our rate is too high? Is that why no one is renting it other than those
It
groups?
can be. It's just, unfortunately, that's the pricing we're able to come up with to be able to cover our costs for our staffing, because it requires the staff to arrive approximately 2 hours before the event time, and it's another hour after. So just in salaries alone, we're covering our costs.
So at the nonprofit rate, are we covering our costs?
Yes, just covering our costs. At the higher rate, if they have additional hours, that's when we're generating a little bit of revenue.
Okay.
Anything else?
Your suggestion is to lower the prices so we can.
Well, I was just trying to understand it more than anything, because if no one rented it, right? And if we can cover our costs at the nonprofit rate, does it make more sense to lower the rate to what that rate is, where we're just covering our costs so that people actually use it?
And some of the other conflicts that we've had is the location isn't appropriate or big enough. It's either not level or it's not big enough for us to drive in the trailer, because we're driving it with a super cab truck along with 26-foot trailers, so there's a lot of clearance issues that need to happen. So upon site visit, sometimes we have to reject the location for safety.
I would recommend that we lower. It's not working.
Oh, it's not working. Sorry.
I would recommend that you look into if we can give everyone the same price, lower price, and see if we can utilize it more.
Sure.
Okay.
Since you have the base.
Yes, President Fad, members of the Commission, we will look at that. Typically, as an enterprise operation, which this is, our goal is to cover our costs. But if we are providing a service that's not being used because it's not affordable to a broader spectrum of the community, we'll take another look at that. It's possible that this could be one program where we don't have to meet our costs, but we're doing it just to be able to provide another variation of recreational opportunity to this community. So we'll look at that. And maybe this is one example where we don't have to quite meet our costs, just to have a broader part of the community be able to benefit and enjoy the wall and the mobile rec. So we'll look at that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Item 7B2, Sports Complex Annual Report.
Good afternoon, President Fawad, members of the Commission. I'm Gabrielle Golia, and I'm the Community Services Supervisor at the Glendale Sports Complex. I'm here today to go over a brief information about the Glendale Sports Complex Annual Report for the fiscal year 2014. The Glendale Sports Complex is comprised of 5 fields, 3 of which are softball fields. One of those also has the capability of playing as a baseball field. And we have 2 artificial turf soccer fields. In addition, we have 2 trails that wrap around and provide wonderful access to the Glendale Sports Complex. One is the Mountain Dew Trail, which is an ADA accessible trail that wraps behind the soccer field areas. And the other is the Catalina Verdugo Trail, which connects to the Mountain Dew Trail and meanders through the hillsides, coming around and ending at the other end of the sports complex. So you can start and finish in the same parking lot, and people can have a nice little hike while they're out there. It's about a 45-minute trail. We offer multiple sports programs for adults at the sports complex, as well as renting the facilities out for youth sports. The programs that we offer are the Adult Softball League for men and women. We have an Adult Soccer League, 3 softball tournaments annually. We do coordinate the Adult Basketball League out of this facility, but it's off-site because we don't have a gymnasium there. And we have the Masters Soccer Program. 2 days a week, adults over 40 are invited to play soccer, and the other 2 days that we offer the program, adults over 60 are invited to play soccer on a drop-in basis. The Glendale Sports Complex is operated out of the Enterprise Fund. All of our costs are covered by the revenue that we generate there. In 2013-14, we generated over $400,000 in rental revenue on the 5 fields, and I'm pleased to say that our soccer field was rented 360 days out of 365 this year. So there were 5 days on the soccer fields that were dark. One was due to rain, and the other 4 were due to big holidays where nobody wanted to rent. We are always open for rentals. We just have a couple days here and there where people choose not to rent for a variety of reasons. During this fiscal year, out of the prime available hours, 83% of those hours were filled from rentals at the sports complex, and that's all 5 fields combined. And prime time is considered 4 to 10 p.m. on weekdays and all day on weekends. Our soccer fields are scheduled to be closed in the upcoming year. We're actually closing on March 9th, and we will be closed for a couple of months through May 15th for resurfacing the soccer fields. This is very exciting for all of the players on the fields. Although the turf is in excellent condition, it's also 10 years old, so it is time to have some new carpet put down on the fields, and everybody is very excited about the condition that they'll be in when they're done and playing on brand new fields again. We do anticipate a loss in revenue next year compared to this year because of that closure for 2 months. The total revenue generated at the sports complex last fiscal year was $989,000, with expenses of $676,905. So we had a net revenue of $312,000 in the 2013-14 fiscal year. So we had a very good year. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the operations.
I have a question. There's grading going on up there along the freeway. What is that all about?
We don't know 100%. It's Caltrans property, so all of that project is funded and controlled by Caltrans, and unfortunately, we're not communicated with as much as I would love to be able to answer the questions, but unfortunately, they don't communicate it with us.
Okay, so it's not part of the sports.
It's not
complex.
part of the sports complex.
How do we compare our soccer field at the Pacific against the sports complex? How busy we are both places?
Commissioner Kalfayan, the field at Pacific, we have a very busy schedule. I know Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and Saturdays and Sundays we have some drop-in time where the community can come out and play open play soccer. But other than that, we're fully booked till 10 o'clock Monday through Friday. Saturdays and Sundays till 10 too.
So both fields are full.
Both fields are full. We might have some hour here, hour and a half there available during the weekend, but pretty much 95% of the time the field's booked.
So this is an indication that this community needs soccer fields, and we have met their needs. Do we have a second phase going on the sports complex?
At this point in time, there's not any specific plans for additional soccer fields. The conversation has come up a number of times in the past, and there are some additional areas at the sports complex that the city owns, and various different field options and ideas have surfaced concerning them, but there's nothing in the plans at this point in time.
And this issue has come before that we can open an off-ramp from the freeway. We're still pursuing it, or it's in a dormant stage?
As President Fowd, members of the Commission, Commissioner Kalfayan, that requires a lot of research and analysis and communication with Caltrans, maybe the county, and a couple of other agencies. We have to look at that further. It's not easy working with those agencies, especially if our priorities aren't aligned with their priorities. But that would be a key ingredient to any further development of the sports complex or Freeway Park area. We are working on a couple of projects which I think are more realistic. We are currently analyzing the feasibility of converting the baseball field to the far north. I can never remember if that's 1 or 3.
1.
The baseball field 1 into artificial turf, which would allow it to be used for both baseball and soccer, and gives the ability to offer more soccer time to the community. And one of the projects I was going to highlight under the monthly activity report for planning and development is the Fremont Park Master Plan. Right now, one of our goals is to incorporate a soccer field, albeit not close to regulation-sized soccer field, but it's part of the Fremont Park revitalization. And again, it would probably be artificial turf so that we can get as much use out of it as possible. So right now, those are our goals that we're working towards.
Is that the tennis courts with the soccer field or a different field?
It would be a different area of the park. It's actually an area that's currently used for soccer already, but it's primarily dirt, and it's dirt most of the time because it gets used so heavily. And it also incorporates the a sand volleyball court, which does not have nearly the demand that soccer would. So right now our plan is to incorporate that volleyball court and maybe pull out a picnic area or two and some trees to create a soccer field that we can fence in for the community use.
Does it make sense to look at any of the other baseball diamonds up there at the sports complex to do what you're doing on number 1, to do on like 2 or 3?
Well, number 1 is the biggest of the 3 fields, so it would lend itself the best. The other fields wouldn't be as accommodating as field 1.
You had mentioned in the past when you've presented to us about the proprietary funds, and you always tell us when that's going to end, the $175,000.
Yes.
When is that going to end again?
My understanding is we have another, I believe, 2 years left on that. Is it this year and next year, Onig? I believe it is. It is a pot of money that we can pull from every year, and depending on how much we pull, it may stretch it out longer and longer. And we actually had reduced it. In previous years, we had pulled closer to $200,000 to $250,000 from it. So we've extended the life of those funds a little bit more by lowering our annual withdrawal down to the $175,000.
Is it a use it or lose it type thing in 2 years, or can you?
I believe at the end of the term, it will go away. So we do need to budget ourselves and make sure that we're pulling it out every year until the very end.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the other thing you mentioned that you're redoing, you used something, a turf, or you're redoing grass. What are we actually installing?
We're taking out the existing artificial turf and replacing it with very similar artificial turf. It's the same company that did the original installation, and it is the newest version of the turf 10 years later. So it is, they will be removing the carpet, grading the surface again, and then laying new carpet and the new fill in back onto the soccer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
How is the situation with the traffic with the neighbors and how we control it in that area?
We're very conscious of the neighbors. We do work very hard to communicate to all of our users that it is a residential neighborhood and that we need to respect our neighbors. We've made a point of putting it on all of our permits and letting everybody know to turn their radios down, to please mind the traffic speed limit as well as the stop signs and the speed bumps that are along the road, which assist us in keeping the traffic slower. We also make sure that our lights are off at 10 p.m. so that everybody is out and the gate is closed immediately afterwards. We don't allow people to hang out in the parking lot in any manner at all, and we do clear it out very quickly to help respect our neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
7B3, monthly activity reports at A, Park Planning and Development, oral report.
President Fowd, members of the Commission, very quickly I will give you a capital improvement project update. The Palmer and Pacific Park Playground replacement projects were completed this month. We used $317,000 Community Development Block Grant funds. That is a federal funding source. And that completes 6 park playground replacement projects that we completed in 1 year. The artificial turf at the sports complex project, which was alluded to earlier, involves a replacement of a 10-year-old artificial turf field at the 2 existing soccer fields at the sports complex, and construction for that project will start March 9th, and that's a $900,000 project. So that's what it's going to cost to replace those 2 soccer fields. We are using our recreation enterprise funds to foot that bill. The Fremont Park Tennis Court lighting and resurfacing and the Dunsmore lighting project is starting March 1. That's a $600,000 construction project. We're using $300,000 in, again, recreation enterprise funds for Fremont and $300,000 in general funds for the Dunsmore part of that. The Fremont Park Master Plan, we did complete a request for proposal. And we're in the process of executing a professional services agreement with David Volt's Design to initiate the design of the project, including extensive community participation. The project will entail major revitalization and improvements of Fremont Park. And although not all the funding is in place yet, we do project that this will ultimately be a $3 to $4 million project, and that we will be using a combination of funding sources, including development impact fee funds and general funds. We have the Brand Park Wayfinding sign project in cooperation with the Library, Arts, and Culture Department. And this is to manufacture and install new signage throughout the park with new design standards. The design is 100% complete and in plant check, and we should be ready to let this project out to bid in March, and it's a $160,000 project, and we're using development impact fee funds. In addition to that, very quickly, we still have the Dugmajan Barn Nature Center project that is in the final design phase, and that's to complete the interior improvements of the barn. So we could actually open it up as a nature center. We're working on the RFP for the batting cage project, which will be a component of the sports complex. And we are working on final designs for the Civic Auditorium exterior paint and lighting upgrades. And and we're also in the early stages of design for a new Brand Park lighting project. And again, we're probably talking about a $2 million complete redesign of the lighting system at Brand Park. That's in the very early design stages. And so in the ensuing months, I'll have more updates on that batch of projects.
Can I ask a question? Are we looking at, and thank you for the update, are we looking at creating any new parks at any time in the near future?
President Fowd, Commissioner Khan, at this time, the only new park that we might be looking at is, you might recall, about a month ago, there was a Fifth and Sonora report made to the City Council, which is still being looked at. Right now, that's the only new park development project that we're looking at, but that remains to be seen.
Do we look at, are you guys looking at other properties throughout the city as maybe they come up, just to be able to see if it fits in with the program, or is that not part of the program or the budget that we have?
It's something that we could start doing now, and the reason we can start considering that now is because we are projecting roughly $8 million in development and impact fee funds between now and the end of the current fiscal year, which would be June 30th. Prior to this recent projection, there would not have been enough anticipated funds coming in order for us to think that we could look at developing a new park or acquiring property and having funds to pay for the improvements. But now we can. But it would be predicated on whether we make plans to do something with the Fifth and Sonora property or not, because the acquisition of that property alone was going to be about $6 million. So if we don't do that, then yeah, that frees up $6 million where we could look at other properties.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. What's next?
7B3B, Workforce Development.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Fott and Commissioners. I just want to give you an update on some of the items in workforce development. We've been focused pretty intensely on layoffs that are occurring in our local entertainment industry. You may have heard about DreamWorks. They're having up to 500 layoffs occurring in the near future. We've also had major layoffs at Warner Brothers in Burbank, and Disney also in Burbank. So we're seeing a lot of job losses locally. We've been directing a lot of our funding and attention to trying to assist the workers in that industry. So that'll continue to be our focus for the next at least year. Also, last Friday, we submitted 2 federal or state grant applications of $6 million each to the State Department of Education. One was the lead applicant was the Burbank Unified School District that focuses on creating career pathways for youth in the Glendale Unified School District, Burbank Unified School District, and through Glendale Community College to help them in the information technology area. We're seeing a lot of job growth in the LA County region in that particular occupation, and so we're trying to help prepare youth within our community for those future opportunities, primarily focusing on the entertainment industry and manufacturing industry. The second application, the applicant was Rio Hondo Community College in coordination with Glendale Unified School District, and that application also involves the dealerships on the Brand Boulevard of cars, and the focus of that application would be creating career pathways in the alternative fuel vehicle area. We're seeing a lot more need for qualified service technicians that deal with alternative fuel vehicles. So we're hopeful that we can prepare some youth for careers in that field, transitioning from K through 12 locally into community college and then on to a four-year university for people that are interested in engineering-related occupations. So we're still heavily involved with our local school district and community college on a lot of these projects. That pretty much covers it for me. This actually will be my last Parks Commission meeting. I'm going to be retiring at the end of February, so it's been a pleasure working with all of you and with past commissions as well, and so my best of luck to you in the future. Judith Velasco is in the audience, going to be on an interim basis taking my position.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Yeah, all the best. We'll miss you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Who's next, or what's next?
7B3C, Human Services.
Good afternoon, President Fod, members of the Parks Commission, staff. My name is Yvette Sambayan, Homeless Program Supervisor. I'm here today to give you a little bit of a quick update on helping homeless individuals getting back to work. And here we go. So the Glendale Homeless Continuum of Care receives about $2.4 million. One of the most recent requirements of the federal government is to get our homeless individuals into employment. Last year, the city of Glendale has been launching Hire Glendale homeless participants in terms of our programming. And so with that, the city of Glendale has been coordinating with various organizations in the city of Glendale to work with us in providing employment services. What we've done since last October, we've had 2 different workshops available to our homeless participants. The first workshop was called the Ticket to Work program that's offered through the Vertigo Job Center. We have been partnering with Vertigo Job Center to provide the services for our individuals who are currently on receiving Social Security disability or Social Security income. The workshop offered information for those individuals who are eligible and interested in obtaining employment. Some of the participants are homeless and are receiving the SSI benefits, but they are able and eligible to work certain positions with certain criteria. And in order to do that, they were participating through the Ticket to Work program to learn about their eligibility and how to engage into the employment business. That's a requirement of the federal government, regardless if you're receiving Social Security benefits or are receiving or have no sort of income. You are required to obtain or increase your income through employment as a participant of homeless services. And in order for the City of Glendale to maintain competitive process with the national funding application, we are mandated to have 20% of our exited participants obtain employment. And, oops, I'm going backwards. I apologize. Okay, the next workshop was in December, and a value-added employee workshop was hosted, again, for the 15 homeless individuals. The first part of the workshop was hands-on interactive presentations by author Matt Moran, who spoke about the value employees bring into the organization in workplaces. Most of our participants had Gmail accounts or Hotmail accounts, but didn't know really how to look for jobs. These are unsheltered individuals, so oftentimes even accessing services through the library to be able to do research and apply for positions was a challenge for them. The workshop provided opportunities to create the sample resume, cover letters, and email communications to prospect employers. Following Mr. Matt's presentation, we had Keith Kessler, who is a staff person with the City of Glendale Library Arts and Culture Department, who talked about Jobs Now. And that's a service available for all job seekers, regardless if they're homeless or not, through the Central Library. And again, some of that included resume, how to talk to someone that's trained job coach regarding mock interviews, what type of questions to prepare for the interview, and what type of positions our clients were applying for. And finally, we had LaTonya Brooks, who has been with us since last year. She has been giving our participants opportunities to ask questions regarding wardrobe tips. Most of our participants don't have multiple suits and or able to be prepared for their interview. And so LaTonya Brooks was able to give a couple of ideas how to dress for the interview, which is a challenge for someone who may not have appropriate attire and or appropriate in an appropriate setting to be prepared for that. So here are some pictures of the workshop. Matt Moran is presenting here. We had the actual clients. It's a little bit hard to see the pictures, but the clients are actually accessing the different types of systems to develop their resumes. In this picture, this is where LaTonya Brooks was able to sort of coordinate some outfits. We had donations from Salvation Army, Essentia, different nonprofit organizations, some from within the staff to be able to give out to the clients for both male and female suits for the interviews. And finally, because of this new requirement, since October, we have 5 people who were able to obtain employment, and one of those were security guard positions, a caretaker, pizza delivery person, a bell ringer with Salvation Army, and marketing coordinator. It's really important to have and provide appropriate workshops for homeless participants. Oftentimes, they've been on the streets for a very long time and haven't been able to sort of understand what to do on an interview and or how to submit a resume and or follow up with a prospective business or an hiring employer to be able to first seek and obtain the employment. So the City of Glendale Parks will continue to partner with Vertigo Job Center and other organizations within the city to offer various other workshops within the next 6 months, as this is a requirement of the federal government, and we are mandated to at least have 20% of our exited participants obtain employment. And so one of the next workshops will include background expungement types of workshops, how to get rid of those types of challenges or issues that someone may have in order to be able to secure employment, and then continue to work with the businesses in the community to receive services through Vertigo Job Center that are offered for folks that may be on specific types of mainstream benefits, and the businesses get credits for those types of if they're able to hire someone with those types of mainstream benefits, they're able to get credits through the tax services. So with that said, we have a couple more types of workshops. We'll be utilizing the different organizations and the Central Library to provide that to our homeless clients, and then get back with you on updates as we get through the process. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now.
Good. When they start a new job, do you send them full-time or you send them part-time?
Commissioner Kalafian, the positions vary depending on people's abilities to work. For those who are on SSI or SSDI, would be temporary, maybe 10 to 20 hours, depending on their eligibility to work and maintain their Social Security disability benefits. For those who are able to work full-time positions, we're seeking for full-time positions
Often they start maybe on an hourly basis and then move on to full-time as they progress and as the employer sees a fit with their company. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
7B3D Park Services.
Good afternoon, President Fuad, members of Commission. I will be reporting on the monthly activity for Park Services for the month of December. Thank you. We completed 126 work orders for non-routine repair and preventive maintenance tasks, of which 103 were completed by groundskeepers. Pesticide applicator completed 1 work order, and irrigation repair crews completed 22 work orders for total labor hours of 628.5 hours for the month. And as usual, we have a couple of projects we'd like to highlight for you. The first project is tree removal of dead trees in open space. This is Bronta Drive, north of Verdugo Park. And we had calls from the resident. There were several dead pine trees in this area that posed a hazard. And we used our newly formed project crew to send Chris and the guys out. And it was quite the challenge. These were mature oak trees on a steep hill. To be able to get in and out proposed somewhat of a challenge for the guys. But they got in, removed 7 dead trees. Started working. They're doing half days in the mornings and following up with other projects across the city in other areas. And within about a week, they were able to manage all the tree removals, hauling away all the debris. Needless to say, it was quite a bit of work. These guys are the best in the business that we have right now, and we're able to take this challenge and complete it. As you can see down below, I do not have the little, thank you. That's down below the hill, the slope right there is where we're able to park our equipment to be able to haul away the debris after we were able to cut it down. And they got very creative in how they got it down and were able to remove it. So after removal of all, this is the challenge they used to get some of the stuff down and be able to get access up there again with the tractor and the trucks down below to be able to load it away, haul it away. After removal of the 7 trees, here you have a very open and clear, much safer area for the residents in this area.
Excuse me, now the dead pine trees at Brand Park, still no funding to take those down?
Are you specifically referring to the ones in the tea house?
No, above behind the Brand Library.
In the maintenance area, in the hillsides. We're looking at that as the next option. We'd actually had a quote on, there was some eucalyptus in the area also that are dead. We're looking at a $7,000 contract fee for that. Now, that is a bit more challenging because of the terrain. It's a bit more steep and not as easy access. We're evaluating some of our options, but they're on our radar for us to look into in the next phase.
Okay.
The next project, I'll highlight Brand Park. There are a couple of areas of Brand Park. One, just north of the library, did more planting, and then right in front of the maintenance yard. In front of the maintenance yard, there were a lot of vegetation that were removed, and we identified some drought-tolerant planting for this area. And as you will note, staff spent some time planting them in. Now, this is an area where we are now manually irrigating. In the future, we're looking at converting all the irrigation in this area to reclaimed water, as well as tie it to the north side of the library to be able to provide water in that area. This was the completed. Now, it doesn't look like much. These will grow, and they will take hold of the grounds. This is the front west entrance of the maintenance yard. We also, this is the north side of the library, added some more drought-tolerant planting in this area. It was planned for some time and finally took this opportunity last month. I think it was end of December, early January when they planted these, just to add a little more color to the area. Come spring, they'll start blooming beautiful flowers. And they're low water resistant plants, so they should sustain with very little use of our water. The next project is over at Glorieta Park. As you know, if you're familiar with this area, Glorieta Avenue here saw some major renovations, the street, for stormwater. Part of that process in the corner, southwest corner of the park, there was some landscaping that was damaged. So we promised the resident that as soon as the project's done, we'll get in there and do a major cleanup of the area as well as landscape. So this gave us the opportunity when the project and the road was completed, we went and removed all the dead vegetation, including our project crews. Obviously level it and get it ready, prepped for planting. identified drought-tolerant plants. You see the agave species and other species spread out at a very nice format. And then the planting projects took hold. And then with irrigation, I know the pictures don't do it justice here, but once the project was completed with all the planting, it gave it a very beautiful, nice landscape, as it was originally intended with the street replacement, street renovation project. And we actually have pictures of them irrigating as we had just completed planting, but it looks very nice and clean with mulch to help the moisture and reduce our water consumption in this area. And needless to say, the residents were pleased that this project was completed. The next project I'd like to highlight, the sports complex. If you recall, in the last, I believe it was last month, I mentioned we had applied for a turf removal program, water refund, from the Metropolitan Water District. The program is, if you remove turf and replace it with drought-tolerant planting and other means of reducing water consumption, Metropolitan Water District will refund you $2 for each square foot of turf you remove. I believe that program still exists, and all of our residents should consider that as a water conservation method. We took at two areas of the sports complex, one being the entrance and one being between fields 1 and 2, where we had turf. It was some degree unnecessary and it was difficult to maintain. It gets a lot of foot traffic. We wanted to take this opportunity to remove the turf. This picture is the entrance. As you note, this is the driveway coming in. This is one side as well as the other side. The exit driveway had turf on the sides. It's 2 feet long by about 150 plus width on length on both sides. The other area is, this is just northwest of the Field 3, a little turf area of an embankment that really didn't serve a lot of purpose. It's right by the seats for the field. And then the other one, as you note here, this is between fields 1 and 2. Well, again, fields 1 and 2 looking south. We asked staff to get in and used sod cutters to remove all the existing turf. This is the entrance, the equipment that was used. And once the sod was removed from both sides, we brought in a good quality mulch and mulched the areas. And here is a final look. And let me see if I have a cleaner shot. Here we go. So now you will not see turf in that area. We'll be reducing the water consumption for the turf, as what we have, the shrubs are fully, they're established. And so we can reduce the water to about 5 minutes maybe once, maybe twice a week. And behold, water savings for this location. The other locations, same ideology, but it was a bit more work because we have a lot of the valves that feed both sides of the field. So I had to sod cut around each valve and with the equipment have all the sod removed. All in all, about 6,500, 6,700 square feet of sod was replaced and removed from these areas for this project. And we already have confirmation from Metropolitan Water District that it will be resulting in about a $13,000 refund, which will help pay for this project, and plus more, allow for some funding. We can look at other facilities, other options to be able to convert into a more amenable, less water use, maintenance-free landscape. At this point, we opted not to plant in this area, and we have a tree. We're going to evaluate it, see if there is a need. We'll add a couple of additional trees, likely, and or see if this area could be used for other means. But this time we have it just mulched, very clean, no water, no maintenance, and saves us money, saves us water, a commodity, and we get a refund from the Metropolitan Water District. That concludes a couple of the projects I'd like to highlight.
What kind of trees were you thinking of?
We haven't determined what type of trees. We'd like to keep it consistent with what's at the sports complex if we get that point. But at this point in time, it is not on our radar. If you have any ideas, we'd be happy to evaluate them.
Well, by the way, that was really fast, Verdugo Park. There was a path, and the tree came down right over the path, and it was hazardous. You were out there so fast.
Yeah, we've had
Great
a number
job.
of. Thank you very much. Credit goes to the staff. I don't have much time to be in the field as much as I actually would love to, but our staff got on those trees, and we tend to have, with the fall and then the winter times, we do have a lot of trees that either drop their branches, dead branches, and or need service, and at times with heavy winds, they come down. So our goal is to take the hazards out of the way and clear the facility, the park, and at times open space areas for our residents to use.
Good job.
Thank you.
How do you guys, for the Metropolitan Water District rebate, how do you memorialize the amount that you're removing, and how do they credit that? How does that work?
We measured the specific areas that we wanted to remove. We highlighted the areas via pictures. The program requests that you provide details of the area location, pictures of the area, several pictures, measurements that we provided for them, as well as a water bill so they can see what the water consumption is for the area. That is part of their criteria. Below a certain amount of square footage, they may not send somebody out to evaluate it. After a certain point, I believe they might send a representative out to help evaluate and measure out and make sure everything is as you had it measured. With our measurements, they did not send a representative. They simply told us to proceed with the project, and upon conclusion, just provide pictures of the finished product. And they highlighted the caveats: you cannot put turf in and you cannot put thirsty vegetation back in. And with what we have done with no vegetation at this time in the areas we highlighted, I believe it'll pass muster.
Sure.
So we'll be applying for the final payment from Metropolitan Water District in the next 2 weeks.
Right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Next.
7B3E, Recreation and Community Services.
President Fuad, members of the Commission, in your packets you have the monthly activity report. If you have any questions, let me know. But I do like to highlight our drop-in numbers for our 4 community centers have increased from last calendar year. We've had a total of 183,153 participants that use all 4 of our community centers. Drop-in programming includes basketball, volleyball, soccer, senior exercises, the room use of our billiards room, card playing room, and so on. In order to use our facilities for drop-in, participants need to purchase an activity card for a small fee. It's $25 a year for adults 18 through 59 years of age. Seniors 60 and over, it's $10, and for youth, it's free. And this is for 1 year. So we've had an increase from last calendar year, which is really good on our end because we have more people using our facilities. The Civic Auditorium for the month of December, we had a total revenue of $24,507. Year-to-date revenue was $106,000. And for our customer service office and community center permit report, we did see an increase of 30% in revenue from last fiscal year of $58,593. And our year-to-date revenue has also increased 20% to $345,000, and this is due to filming. We've had an increase in filming this year compared to last year, and also the new artificial turf at Pacific. We did open up the field in March of 2014, so the artificial turf at Pacific has been very successful in bringing in a lot of revenue for our department. Any questions?
I guess not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
7B3F, Trails and Open Space.
As President, proud members of the Commission, very quickly, we just wanted to highlight the Riverwalk work days, and then we also wanted to announce a Valentine's Day special for the man or woman that has everything. If you want to do something special and romantic, on February 14th, we do have a trail building class at the sports complex, followed by an actual trail building or trail repair project at the Catalina Verdugo Trail. So that sounds romantic, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, if you learn how to build a trail, do you have an opportunity to use it? How does that?
That's right.
No, I'm asking. Does Glendale? Are you then called upon to work on trails? I'm serious.
We encourage. Yes, if you're hiking the trails, we encourage you to sign up, or typically you are signed up on our mailing list, and you do receive announcements for these types of opportunities on a very regular basis. That's it.
I think that's everything we have. So I guess adjournment is our next item. And do we move for that, or we just leave?
Yeah, you don't need to do a motion.
Okay, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.